Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to step 2 in my Paragon tutorial series. I am Sylphin. This is a big one. It's our first jump into a true match of Paragon with the same hero, Gideon, in the mid lane. So ladies and gentlemen, your very first step when you get into Paragon is to head on over to versus AI and select your difficulty. If you are a little bit experienced in the MOBA genre, a little bit experienced in a shooter perhaps, you can choose more difficult, but for now, go to introductory and simply hit play. You will start to search for a game connecting to a lobby and simply accept when that comes up. Then we will get to the draft screen, which I will explain all the strategy behind it, what exactly everything is in a much later video. For now, search for Gideon, select Gideon, and hit lock in. The rest of the bots will fill out the team. You simply wait. Now that the match is starting, there are some pretty big things we have to talk about. First off, we will talk about all the UI that you are seeing around, but the first job is to open up the card shop. Once you are at base, which is where you are right here, this is the only time when you can when you can select a deck and select cards. Go to Intellect Burst, as I think this is more appropriate for Gideon, and hit confirm. Then you will see 3 options here on the side, and this is how you spend gold. In the previous video, we mentioned that you get hero experience that levels up your hero and levels up abilities. This is where you spend gold, which you get from last hitting, killing enemies, and through a slow drip. With these points that you can spend, as we're going to spend 1 point into intellect right here, then you can equip cards with the points that you spend here in the attribute tree. So go ahead, select intellect, put on advanced evolution, simply click it and drag it into one of the 3 spots. Another very important thing is that you have these special jump pads off of the base. Simply walk onto it and you'll be shot across your base to your inhibitor. As you can see, that is your core, just like the tutorial, and here is your inhibitor. As you can see, there are minions that are traveling down your lane, and you, as a Gideon, are very much a mid laner. It can be played in other lanes, but for now, we care about the mid lane. As you can see, we have 2 towers instead of 1 in the tutorial, as that is just how most MOBAs are. So now our responsibility here is the mid lane, and as I said in the previous videos, it is your job to kill these minions and make sure to hit them when they are red. Use your basic attacks to hit the minions when they are red. That is the only way that you get gold, other than killing an enemy hero like this Morgesh that you see here, and through a global drip. You slowly get gold just the more and more that you stay on the battlefield. Now, remember that we do have upgrade abilities to upgrade, so go ahead and actually select your Torn Space. This is a new ability for Gideon, and I won't talk too much about his abilities, just simply because that is up to you to really kind of test things out on your own and get a sense for each individual hero. Simply continue to attack these minions, making sure to hit them when they are red, and of course you can harass the enemy offlaner, mid laner as well. Now here is a friendly here that has come in to attack the mid lane, and we made the kill there on our opponent here in this mid lane. As you can see, remember that the minions are tanking the tower. Let the minions go into the tower, and then you can go ahead and fight the turrets. Now, as you progress and as you last hit those minions, you will have gold to spend. Simply select, press Control, and then 1, 2, and 3 to put points into agility, vitality, or intellect, respectively. What we are going to do is put 1 point into each of them because you get gems in addition to attribute points. You spend gold on these three attribute trees, but along the way, you also get gems. As you can see right here, we have the auto mana potion gem selected here at the kind of tier 1 gem. There is a spot for you to get gems, and that is at various amounts of attribute points. So now we have a few gems. We have the auto health potion gem, quick exit gem, and the auto mana potion gem. This helps us with doing things and generally being more powerful. Now, make sure that you try to last hit the tower, as it is very much possible to get extra gold for last hitting those towers. As we can see here, I'm going to try to kill that crunch, and yes, I do indeed. So continue to upgrade your abilities and upgrade your attributes. Mainly for Gideon, as you can see, if you press the G key and go into your cards, it's mostly intellect. That gives you mana and mana regen. So continuously put points into intellect, and that will give you the option to select those cards when we go back to base. Now that we have a few attribute points in intellect, we can equip some cards. So simply head back to a safe location, usually behind one of your towers or inhibitors, and press the B key or the respective PS4 button to go back to base. Remember, this is the only place that you can be, where you can equip cards. We have enough intellect points here to equip Supply Sergeant. Simply click it, drag it to a slot, and as you can see, that uses up 3 intellect attribute points. But if you unequip it, you get those attribute points back. It is simply kind of an exchange mechanic where you get attribute points and then you can kind of play around with them with different cards of your choosing. At this point, we can talk about the UI or the HUD that you see on the screen here. In the top left, you see 5 blue heroes, and that is your friendly team. That is your friendly team, their health and their mana, as well as a little blue icon that indicates whether their ultimate ability, their R, in our case, our black hole, whether it is available or not. So I'm going to use my black hole here to make sure that we kill that crunch, and we do indeed. Next to that is a small little raptor icon with a 0, and that is a special objective that we will talk about in a future video. On the top right is the enemy bar with the enemy 5 heroes, and as you can see, we just killed that Morigesh, and she is you can see there's a 15, 14, 13 icon there because she is dead. Right underneath that is the mini map that shows you a small map of the entire battlefield here that has different icons that we will talk about slowly over the course of this tutorial series. Underneath that to the right is a white timer, and that is the time that the match has been. So that is the match time, how much time has gone by in the match. Right underneath that, it says kill Fangtooth, and that is a special map objective, again, that we'll talk about in a later video. Next, below that is the 2 cards that we now have here, and I just actually used one. As you can see, it's 72, right below me over here, 70, 68, 67. That is the cooldown of that card that we activated here. Next, underneath that is our gems, which lets us know which gems is which gems we do have and which are activated. As well as right underneath us, we can see all of our abilities, our Q, our E, our right click, and we also see the mana cost of those abilities as well. So when you guys are trying to look at how much mana you have for your abilities, you can definitely take a look down there and see what those cost. Now, your HUD might not look the same because I have changed mine, and I recommend you do as well. Having your health bar over your head is a bit distracting in my opinion, so select over the shoulder and over the shoulder. Make sure that those are selected there, as it makes that a little bit more clear, to be honest. Also, make sure that the top health bar is also unshown, as it's a little too much information on the screen, and it's a little awkward to look up that far to look at your health bar. So simply make sure that that is disabled. So again, make sure that you are paying attention to how many attribute points you have. Remember, in Gideon, we're going mainly into intellect, and now that we have enough, we're actually going to swap out Supply Sergeant and get something better. Atomic Soldier here, fantastic card. You can look up at what it all does right behind me here on your own. We'll get into kind of cards and deck building much later on. Click it, drag it on, and as you can see, we have a nice new set of cards. So as you've seen so far, we've been primarily focused on pushing this mid lane, but there are other parts of the map. This is just the middle lane that runs through the middle of the map. If you look on your mini map, you will also see that there is a left lane and there is a right lane, and the space in between is actually called the jungle. It is a very interesting and complicated place with different objectives and different strategies that we will talk about in a later video. Our role as a mid laner is very important because we need to be very cautious of enemy heroes trying to come and get us and keep the mid lane safe. The mid lane is very important. It provides a good foundation for your team to have safety and the ability to kind of move around the map and have a central point that is super easy to move from. Being a mid laner is very key in the overall strategy of the game, so keeping the mid lane safe is very, very key. Now, the mid lane is also very well suited to a caster. Gideon, as you have seen and as we've been playing, he uses very nice, heavy-hitting, relatively long-range, high-damage abilities with a fantastic ultimate through his black hole. He is naturally very well suited for the mid lane, and that is where you will find a lot of casters. Casters deal great damage within the team of 5, and usually have one ultimate that does a lot. So as a caster, you want to be relatively safe, standing in the backline. As you see here, I'm not running right into the enemy team, and I'm being relatively safe here. Right now, I'm a wee bit too close, so I'm going to back off, and that is kind of what you do as a caster. You need to play careful and use your abilities from afar. Now, remember, we are trying to take down the enemy core and not necessarily getting hit by these towers, letting our minions move into the range of these structures and disabling the enemy structures. Now, this has been a pretty intense game. It's our first pseudo-real game of Paragon, and there's a lot to take in. The overall HUD, what is everything on the map, which I didn't mention in the bottom left, is our hero level, our level 10, our KDA right above that, or kills, deaths, and assists. We also have how much gold we have, which you need to pay attention to and keep on using and upgrading your attribute points. And there's a lot of information. There's stuff that we haven't talked about here, but that is okay because we will simply get to that in a later video. We learned how to spend our gold. We learned how to spend those attribute points as cards that we can use. We learned that the attribute points aren't necessarily spent, they're just temporarily taken up by cards, and that always equipping cards and equipping high cost cards is very, very important. We learned that the mid lane is very, very safe and is a very important lane to keep safe, and that casters are naturally best in this mid lane. Once you destroy the core, that is your first game of Paragon as a caster in the mid lane. Please go over this video and look at it over and over again if anything didn't make sense. Please like this video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, share it with the community, guys, and of course, subscribe. You guys like this content, especially if you found it useful, please subscribe so I can do it for you in the future as the rest of the tutorial series is coming up. Till next time, like always, guys, stay optimistic and positive.